We're going to talk about function notation, and whenever we talked about function notation in class, we talked about an Easter egg. And the Easter egg could represent f of x or it could represent y, because those two are interchangeable. When we crack open the Easter egg, we have a little baby chick, x. And we like to think of it that way because it's kind of easier for us to understand the little puzzle that we have to decipher. So let's look at number 1. Number 1 says h of t is equal to negative t plus t, and we need to find what h of negative 3t is. Well, we know that they gave us whatever is inside the Easter egg, and if you see and you notice, inside the Easter egg is negative 3t, which happens to be our little baby chick x. And so wherever we see an x, and in this case is a t, is where we're going to substitute in negative 3t. So we will highlight everything that we're going to replace t with a negative 3t. So I will rewrite everything as h of negative 3t is equal to negative 2 times negative 3t plus 2. And at this point, I'm able to multiply negative 2 times 3, which gives me a positive 6t plus 2. And then on the left side, I just simply leave h of negative t. Right here at this point, you can think of the whole Easter egg as y, and if you feel more comfortable, you're more than welcome to rewrite it as y equals 6t plus 2. So now we have an equation, and we just substituted in negative 3t wherever we saw a t or an x, whatever's inside. Okay, so let's look at number 4. Number 4 shows that we're going to use equation f, function f, and so we know that we're going to use this one right here, f, and we're going to use g. So we're going to use this one right here, g. And when we write it out, we're going to write out f first, and we're not going to substitute in our x quite yet. So we're going to put our f, which happens to be our green, and we're going to write 4x minus 2. And we know that in between f and g is a plus, so I'm going to write a plus sign right there. And then I'm going to grab my blue and I'm going to write 3x minus 3. 3x minus 3. At this point, we have just rewritten the green, which is f of x, and we rewrote the blue, which is g of x, and we added them together. So now we know what is inside of each Easter egg, and so we're going to substitute in 3 for that x, wherever we see an x, and this is where we see our x. And for our g, we're going to substitute in 2. So wherever we see an x, we're going to substitute in that 2. And we'll rewrite it as such. So we'll write 4, open parentheses, 3, because that's what we're going to substitute in for x for f of x function, plus 3 times 2, because that's what our x is for the g of x, minus 3. And we can use color to help us see that, oh, in fact, that we did use 3 for our x when we're using f of x, and we did, in fact, use 2 for our x when we're using g of x right here. And we're able to substitute our x's with the numbers given, and then we can calculate on our calculator. We don't have to do it in our head or on the paper, and we can just simply type in 4, open parentheses, 3, close parentheses, minus 2, plus 3, open parentheses, 2, close parentheses, minus 3. And I'm going to move my calculator over so you can see what the screen looks like. And once I typed all of that into my calculator, I'm able to push enter and get my answer as 13. So I know that all of this is equal to 13. And please remember that we don't always get a number for an answer. For example, number 6. We know that our Easter egg is x, so wherever I see a t, that's what I'm going to replace it with, a negative 3t. And I'm going to highlight my t a little bit smaller. And I'll rewrite it as h of negative 3t equals negative 2, open parentheses, negative 3t plus 2. And I know it's h of negative 3t is equal to positive 6t plus 2. And again, if you want to, you can rewrite this h of negative 3t as y equals 6t plus 2. Or you can rewrite it as h equals 6t plus 2.